You know that feeling? Like, you've got this brilliant destination in mind, a clear goal for your company, but your team,
Yeah.
well, it seems like they're all interpreting the map slightly differently.
Yeah, it's a really common frustration for leaders.
Yeah.
Everyone's putting in the hours, working hard.
Totally. They're busy. But that collective effort, it just doesn't seem to be moving the needle as much as you'd expect. Like the engine's revving, but maybe the wheels aren't quite catching.
Exactly. Well, our source material today tackles this exact problem head on. We've been digging into excerpts from Cameron Herold's book, Vivid Vision.
Right.
And he makes a strong case for moving past those, kind of generic mission statements you see on walls.
Or those vision boards that are maybe great for one person, but don't really align a whole team.
Yeah. He proposes something different, something he calls a vivid vision.
And that's really our goal for this deep dive, isn't it? To really get under the skin of what this vivid vision thing is.
Why it's apparently so crucial for getting everyone on the same page, and importantly, what are the first few steps you can actually take to start building one? All based on Herold's ideas, of course.
Precisely. We've pulled out the key concepts from his book. It's focused on strategic planning, vision casting, that sort of thing.
So if you're someone who likes to get the essence of these big business ideas quickly, get right to the point without wading through tons of theory,
then this is for you. Think of it as your shortcut to understanding this vivid vision concept. Okay, so let's dive in. Why do those traditional ways of setting a vision often miss the mark when it comes to alignment?
Well, one of the main points Herold brings up is just how abstract they often are. Those standard vision or mission statements.
Yeah, like be the best.
Exactly. It might sound good, maybe inspiring in a very general way, but how does be the best actually translate into specific actions for, say, the marketing department?
Right, or the finance team, or operations. What does it mean for their day-to-day work?
It rarely does. Herold kind of suggests these often come from a more academic space, maybe lacking that practical in-the-trenches business experience.
Interesting point.
And really, he's arguing for something much more concrete, more descriptive. A vision should be so clear that if you walked around your company in the future state it describes...
You could actually point to people and say, okay, that's what they're doing, and this is how it fits the big picture.
Precisely. And you just don't get that level of shared understanding from a single kind of fuzzy sentence.
Okay, so if those short statements aren't cutting it, what actually makes a vision vivid? What are the characteristics?
That's the key question, right? And Herold uses a really helpful analogy. He asks you to think about something you really want, personally, like your dream house or maybe a specific car, something you desire but don't have yet.
Okay, got it.
Now really imagine having it. Use your senses. What does it look like in detail? What does it feel like to be in it or use it? Notice the specific features, the textures, the sounds, the smells maybe.
Yeah, okay. I can picture that, like the specific grain of wood on a table or the sound the engine makes. It becomes quite detailed in my mind.
Exactly that. That rich, multi-sensory mental picture. That's the kind of experience a vivid vision aims to create for the entire company. It's not just a flat statement.
It's more like a world.
Yes. He calls it a three-dimensional world that the whole team can sort of step into mentally and explore. It's a detailed map, not just a vague signpost pointing that way.
Okay, that distinction is becoming clearer. So where did this idea come from? Is it brand new?
Well, it has some interesting roots. Herold talks about an Olympic coach back in the late 90s.
Ah, the sports connection.
Yeah, this coach had athletes intensely visualize their performance. Not just seeing themselves win, but actually feeling the movements, the success, the key moments.
That makes sense. Mental rehearsal is huge in sports.
Definitely. And Herold thought, hey, why can't we apply this to business? If leaders could vividly see and feel their company operating at its peak in the future, that could be incredibly powerful.
So he tried it out.
He did. First at a private currency company, and then maybe most famously at 1-800-GUAT-JUNK-A.
Oh yeah, everyone knows them.
And there, this idea, which they called a painted picture back then, was central. Herold laid out this really bold vision, like doubling revenue in 3 years.
Wow. Did they know how they do it at first?
Not entirely, no, but that clear, shared picture of the future gave them the focus. And the result? They didn't just double in 3 years. They actually doubled revenue every single year for the 6 years he was COO.
Whoa. That's not just growth, that's like hyper growth.
It really is.
Yeah.
Which kind of highlights the flip side. What happens when leaders don't create and share this kind of clear, detailed picture? What's the downside?
Yeah, what are the consequences?
Well, Herold argues pretty strongly that if employees don't truly grasp the leader's vision, they're essentially left guessing.
Trying to figure it out on their own.
Right. Which leads to confusion, maybe duplicated effort, things not quite lining up, and ultimately slower growth. He even puts a number on it, suggesting companies without this clear, shared vision might hover around maybe 7% annual growth.
Which sounds okay.
It's respectable,
Yep.
sure, but it's nowhere near the kind of accelerated growth you can unlock when everyone is aligned around a compelling, vivid vision.
That's a massive difference in potential outcomes.
It really is. He uses this analogy. Imagine asking a crew to build your dream house, but all you give them is a one-sentence description like, build a nice house.
Chaos. Everyone would have a different idea of nice.
Exactly. You'd end up with something completely different from what you intended. It's the same with your team building the future of your company without that detailed blueprint.
Okay, so if the team isn't guessing right, but it's not their fault,
Right.
where does the responsibility lie? And what happens when a leader does get this right?
Herold is very direct here. He says basically, if the vision isn't clear, you, the leader, are the problem, not them. The responsibility falls squarely on the leader to paint that picture.
Okay, take ownership.
Yeah. And when employees do understand it, not just vaguely, but really get the specifics of what the company looks like, feels like, acts like 3 years out, that's when you get real alignment.
And I assume that alignment translates into better results.
Absolutely. It's incredibly motivating. When people see exactly how their specific job, their daily tasks, contribute to making that vivid vision a reality.
Their work feels more meaningful.
Precisely. It's not just a job anymore. It's part of building something tangible, something exciting. Plus, this alignment helps with decision-making at every level.
How so?
Think about someone driving from, say, New York to Los Angeles. They might not know every single road name.
But they know they need to head west.
Exactly. That overall destination allows them to make smart choices along the way, which highway to take, how to handle a detour, without constantly needing directions for every single turn.
Ah, I see. So the vivid vision gives the team that sense of direction.
Yes. It empowers them to make better, more autonomous decisions within their roles because they understand the ultimate goal. This frees up leaders to focus on the bigger picture rather than micromanaging.
Less need for constant check-ins and permission slips.
Right. It fosters a more agile, empowered organization.
Okay, that sounds pretty compelling. Now, we mentioned vision boards and short mission statements falling short. Can you expand a bit on why they aren't great for alignment specifically?
Sure. Take vision boards. They can be great for personal motivation, right? A collection of images that inspire you.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is interpretation is so subjective. Herold gives this example of a picture on a board, an old wooden table with champagne glasses.
Okay.
Well, one person might look at that and focus on the rustic antique vibe of the table. Another might see the champagne and think celebration. Someone else might see something totally different.
Yeah, my takeaway could be completely different from yours.
Exactly. We all bring our own filters. So as a tool to get everyone seeing the same future, vision boards are kind of weak. Written words, though, offer much more precision.
Less room for misinterpretation.
Right. That's why Herold stresses polishing the written vivid vision, maybe even getting a writer to help make it super clear and unambiguous. And, importantly, it's not a forecast based on current numbers.
It's aspirational.
Yes, it's a deliberate picture of the desired future 3 years out.
Okay, got it. Now, you mentioned something called a BHAG earlier. What's that, and how does it relate to the vivid vision?
BHAG. That stands for Big, Hairy, Audacious Goal. It's a term Jim Collins popularized in Good to Great.
Right, okay.
And Herold says a good vivid vision often contains, or maybe is, a BHAG. It's a goal that's so big it requires a real stretch of the imagination. It might sound kind of crazy to outsiders.
But believable internally.
Exactly. Believable to the people who share that detailed vision. He uses Microsoft's early goal, a computer on every desktop.
Even though they didn't make computers?
Right. Audacious. But it aligned the whole company around building the software to make that possible. The key thing when creating the vivid vision, Herold says, is to focus on that it will happen, not how.
Figure out the how later.
The leadership team figures out the how. Think of Kennedy saying, we'll put a man on the moon. He stated the bold goal of the what. Then NASA figured out the how.
Okay.
And Herold even suggests that if your BHA, your vision, doesn't make some people say, that's impossible, or
Yeah.
no way,
Yeah.
you might actually need to think bigger.
Huh. That's a good benchmark. So why 3 years specifically? Why not 5 or 10 or just 1?
Yeah, the time frame is deliberate. Herold argues that looking too far out, like 5 or 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
things get fuzzy. The world changes too fast.
Hard to picture it, clearly.
Right. It feels too abstract, too chaotic. But if you only look 1 or maybe 2 years out,
Not ambitious enough.
generally, yeah, it
Mm.
doesn't usually inspire that big leap, that real innovation. It tends
Yeah.
to lead to more incremental thinking.
So 3 years is the sweet spot.
He thinks so. It's far enough away to really stretch your imagination, to allow for some experimenting and risk-taking without feeling like you need results tomorrow.
But close enough to feel achievable.
Exactly. It strikes a balance. It lets you work on different parts of the vision at the same time and feel like you're making real progress towards something substantial.
Okay, this is making a lot of sense. We understand the what and the why. Let's get practical. What are the very first things a leader needs to do to start creating this?
Step 1, according to Herold, is critical. Change your environment. Get out of the office.
Escape the day-to-day whirlwind.
Absolutely. Go somewhere inspiring. Nature is ideal, he suggests,
Yeah.
but anywhere away from the usual routines and distractions. And crucially, take only a notepad and pen.
No laptop, no phone.
Definitely no phone or computer. The temptation to slip back into email or urgent tasks is just too high. He says this is time for childlike dreaming.
Just exploring possibilities.
Yes, a fantastical exploration.
Mm.
Don't worry about how you'll achieve things yet. That comes later. Your job now is just to dream and envision the what, like the homeowner picturing the house before the blueprints exist.
Right. The leader's role is the initial vision.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He draws that parallel again to athletes using quiet places to visualize their best performance. Clear the mind. Focus on the desired outcome.
Okay, so find a quiet spot, notepad ready, dream big. Then what? How do you start structuring these dreams?
Herold recommends using a mind map. It's a great visual tool for organizing those initial, maybe slightly scattered thoughts.
How does that work in this context?
You start with yourself, the leader, or maybe the core idea of the business, in the center. Then you draw branches radiating out for all the key areas of the business.
Like marketing, sales, culture.
Exactly. Operations, finance, customer experience, the team vibe, everything. Then for each branch, you jot down maybe 3 or 4 bullet points describing what that area looks like and feels like 3 years from now.
Using descriptive words, not just facts and figures.
Yes, definitely focus on descriptive language. What's the atmosphere? What are people doing? What's the energy? And deliberately leave out the numbers and hard data at this stage. It's about the qualitative picture first.
So the mind map becomes like an outline.
Precisely. It captures the essence and structure for your first rough draft of the actual vivid vision document.
Okay. So as you're doing this initial mind mapping and dreaming, any key things to keep front of mind?
A few important reminders from Herold. First, make sure the vision is genuinely ambitious. It needs to be big enough to truly inspire the team, not just aim for slightly better than last year.
Go beyond incremental.
Right. Second, the CEO, or the main leader, must be the one to actually conceive it and write that first draft. It can't be delegated at this stage.
Why not?
Because it needs that singular, authentic core vision. He warns against trying to create it by committee initially.
Yeah.
Says it often results in a watered-down, less powerful vision.
Okay, so leader-driven, bold, captured in a mind map. What comes after that first messy draft?
Get it polished. Herold strongly recommends working with a professional writer. Most leaders are great at their business, but maybe not expert wordsmiths.
And clarity is key here.
Absolutely. Clear, concise, inspiring language makes a huge difference in how the vision lands. And finally, he suggests investing in some good graphic design for the final document.
Make it look the part.
Yeah, make it visually appealing. Maybe keep it to 4 pages or less. It signals that this is an important aspirational document for everyone who sees it, employees, partners, maybe even customers.
Okay, wow. Let's try and recap. So a vivid vision isn't just a slogan. It's this rich, detailed picture of your company 3 years out.
Sensory, specific.
And it goes way beyond typical mission statements to create real, shared understanding and alignment.
Which fuels motivation and better decisions.
And starting it means getting away, dreaming big with pen and paper, using something like a mind map to structure it.
Then refining it, making it clear and visually engaging.
Essentially, as the leader, you're creating that clear destination, that roadmap, so your team knows exactly where you're all headed and can navigate effectively to get there.
That sums it up perfectly. It's
Yeah.
about shifting from just stating a goal to co-creating a shared experience of the future, making it feel real now.
So here's something to think about as you listen. Where could your organization genuinely be in 3 years if every single person saw the future with the same vivid clarity that you, the leader, hold right now?
Yeah,
What goals that seem maybe just out of reach today? What might suddenly become possible with that kind of focused, shared energy? Definitely food for thought.
it really is. That power of a truly shared, compelling future sits often the spark for incredible things.